Hi, I'm Jessica.
And I'm Kira.
And we are
the Keepers of the Books,
your online librarians, and we're here with another weekly reads. But first, we have bookish news. We just wanted to remind you that SyncYA is in April, so make sure that you sign up for SyncYA, and we'll put the information for that in the comments below. And then we have 4 free early literacy apps to tell you about. The first one is Lego City My City by Lego. Don't forget Peppa Pig Paint Box.
Perfect for those who like Peppa Pig.
Lumi Kids Park by Luminosity. And Classroom Tools by Learning Gems. My first book is Ugly by Robert Hogue. Robert Hogue is the man that Wonder was based off of. So this book is nonfiction, and it covers from his birth, where his mother didn't even want him. He was so ugly. He was born with a tumor on his face. His mother had to be convinced that she would keep him, and it was a family decision. And it covers some of the most memorable moments and challenges of his childhood, and even some of the nicknames that he's called by and how he deals with those. This is his story and his journey and how he became comfortable and confident with himself as a person. And it really has a good message for the reader. I would say there's not really a lot of language or anything in this. It is a hard story, and there is some description of like surgery and stuff. Because this is nonfiction, I would say you could go from grades 5 through 10 on this book, or ages 11 through 15.
I did not give that spider superhuman intelligence by Richard Roberts. This is a book about Goodnight, and she is a superhero who is officially retired. Along the way, she meets 2 other superheroes, Mishmash, who is a robot-human hybrid, okay, cyborg, and Psychopomp, what a name, is a Grim Reaper-esque scythe-wielding superhero who gets a little scythe-happy. One night, they go to this club to get some intelligence information, and it goes bad, very, very bad. And they end up getting on the wrong side of a mad scientist who would love to get his hands on Mishmash, along with many other humans he'd like to experiment on and turn into cyborgs. So of course now the 3 have to save the day. Goodnight's a little reluctant, but she decides to get involved and help Team Tiny to save the world one last time, and then she swears she'll go into retirement. This is book 4 in Don't Tell My Parents, but it's actually a prequel to the first 3, so I'll put the information below of the other 3 titles as well, because this book would make a lot more sense if you read the other 3, even though it's the prequel, but it's still very action-packed, fun characters, and any superhero fan will just eat this book up and be drawn right into the story. This would be a great book for grades 5 through 9 or ages 10 to 15. This is a review book from Curiosity Quills Press.
365 Days of Wonder, Mr. Brown's Precepts. So this is by R.J. Palacio, and this is a companion to Wonder. Quote, for every day of the year about courage, friendship, love, and kindness. So Wonder's coming out as a movie, and that's why you're seeing more books to go with it, I believe. Mr. Brown is the teacher in Wonder. Every month has a beginning, but then there's a quote for every day, and there's some great quotes in here. Some you're familiar with, some you're not as familiar with. Every month ends with a short story, or basically an essay or a musing about some of the quotes they covered that month, or just a theme that the teachers noticed. A lot of these are fantastic for students, or if you're a teacher and you need some things to share with your class, this is great. Or just for someone who wants to do this every day, that's awesome, or just a fun read. This really could be used with any age group, but I'm gonna say grades 5 through 12 on this one. Even though the stories are gonna aim at kind of the middle school group, the quotes obviously are universal for any age. So ages 11 and up. It's not that younger couldn't understand it, it's just that sometimes those quotes are a little harder and deeper for them to reflect on, but it's still possible. So ages 11 and up or grades 5 and up.
Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. This follows the story of Zan, who is the witch of the forest, and her trusty sidekicks, Firion, who's a little mini dragon, and Glurk, yes I said that right, who is a bog monster. The bog is basically a swamp of the world. It's a world where there is one city who is very brought down by despair and sorrow, and then across the forest is another group of cities that's the Free Cities. Every year, the city filled with despair, also known as Despair, has what's called the Day of the Sacrifice, where they take the youngest child of the city and give it to the witch. Now, the witch has no clue why they keep giving her these babies, so she takes them to the Free Cities for people to adopt. Her latest child, however, she accidentally feeds her moonlight instead of starlight like the others, and so she ends up keeping her and naming her Luna because she's now in magic. Fast forward 13 years, and Luna is unaware that she's magical. In fact, whenever she hears the word magic, her whole mind shuts down and she forgets everything that happened related to that word. Along comes Antane, who is from the city, who was an elder in training when Luna was taken to the forest to give to the witch. And now he is a father-to-be and is determined to get rid of the witch in the forest so that he doesn't have to worry about sacrificing his little baby to come. You'll find that there is a very, very large plot twist that is going to come your way if you read this book, and will throw you for a complete loop. I love this book. The characters were very well developed. The plot was impossible to put down. If you like adventure and saving the world along with world-building fantasies, you'll love this book. I would recommend this for grades 5 through 9 or ages 10 to 15.
Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst. This book is about Princess Dina. She's a princess who has an affinity for fire, and she is betrothed to the Prince of Mineria, whose name is Thandi. Dina has this magic ability. Since childhood, her mother has had her suppress this magical ability and hide it. In Mineria, where Thandi is, magic is forbidden. So she goes to Mineria to marry him, and in the days leading up to the wedding, she finds that her magic is out of control. Thandi has a sister, and her name is Mare. Mare is kind of a rogue princess, so they've put her in charge of training war horses. Dina doesn't know how to ride horses, so while her and Mare are not getting along, Thandi says, okay, Dina, you're going to be trained by Mare to ride these horses because that's part of our kingdom, and you're going to ride this crazy horse on your wedding day. So she spends every day with Mare learning to ride these horses, and they have to learn to get along. But the thing about Mare is she is really not someone they want her to be getting along with because she's kind of an outcast in her own kingdom. Now you have Zamordia, and you have Mineria, and you have the country where Dina's from, and you have another city. But these 4 cities look like they're pretty much all on the brink of war together. And so there's a lot more to the plot than you see. This next part is going to contain a few spoilers, but in order to give an appropriate age rating and to let you know about the content, there's going to have to be. So if you don't care about the age rating, of course, we'll put it in the description below. But there is some sexual content in this book. There's a moderate amount of language, no F words. There's some violence, but I know this is the end of the book. So the relationship between Mare and Dina turns romantic, and there is some on-page sexual content. You could have easily put it off-page and had the same effect. For that reason, although it was a fantastic story, it's going to have to be grades 10 and up or ages 15 and up. It was a really good book. I loved the story. I loved the fantasy. I loved the magical element. And I hope there's a book 2, but I'm not sure that there's going to be. Honestly, the story did wrap itself up. Of Fire and Stars was a review book from Balzer and Bray and Kiss the Book, kissthebook.blogspot.com.
Hatched by Bruce Coville. This book is a definitely classic Bruce Coville. Bring in Gerald the Griffin. He is a griffling. He's reaching his 10th hatch day. When you reach your 10th hatch day, you're supposed to go find a treasure of your own and bring it back and show all the other griffins in the community that you're a true griffin. Gerald, however, doesn't really consider himself a real griffin. He doesn't think he's brave, courageous, or fierce like every other griffin. So he decides to run into the human world. Little does he know that his master teacher, Abelard, is actually behind the scenes driving the reins and turn the human world. Now, the other point of view of the book is Bradley Ashbango. He is going for the summer to stay with his aunt Bibi in Vandeveld Landing, which also happens to be the portal into the Enchanted Realm and vice versa. So you could probably predict this part, but the griffin goes into the human world, and of course Bradley sees him. Together, they have to find this treasure that Abelard is pushing them to find because it holds a secret to saving the world, both worlds. Will they succeed? Will Gerald ever get to prove himself a true griffin? I love this book because both characters are misfits. They don't really fit into the world they live in. So they're flawed, very well developed characters that you just absolutely fall in love with and truly drive the story and draw you into it. There is action and adventure, of course, which is very well done as well. If you like books by Bruce Coville like Jeremy Thatcher, Dragon Hatcher, or Jennifer Murley's Toad, you'll like this book. You will also like this book if you like fantasy, adventure, griffins, mythical creatures. I would recommend this for grades 5 to 10 or ages 10 to 15. This is a review book from Random House and kissthebook.blogspot.com.
Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton. Moni is a girl that lives in a desert place called Miraji. And she lives in a society where women are not very valued. She knows that she has to get away. Her mother is gone, her dad is gone, and that whole situation actually is quite sad because, you can read the book. She lives with her aunt and her uncle. She goes to the shooting competition. She's a really good shot. And she is doing really well, and she gets a nickname, the Blue-Eyed Bandit. And she meets a foreigner, and he's also doing very well. So the foreigner's name is Jin. And they're kind of colluding. While she's in this competition, her uncle's there. She's dressed as a boy. The reason she gets the name Blue-Eyed Bandit is because of her eyes. And if her uncle sees her eyes, she knows that everything's lost because she has these blue piercing eyes that are very unique. So she hears her uncle talking to her aunt, and he says that he's going to marry her and make her another one of his wives. She does not want this. The uncle is not a good person. He's not nice. She really doesn't want that future. She needs the money from this competition to escape. She knows she can win it, but this competition's not all it's cracked up to be. There's a lot of cheating. Plus, there's the thing where, basically, unless you're the house, you're supposed to lose. She ends up pairing up with this stranger Jin, and they have to travel across the desert to escape together. There is a war raging between the prince and his father, and that is making everything pretty unsafe. In the desert, you have skinwalkers and genies and all kinds of magical creatures, making this journey much more difficult, along with the war. There is much more that meets the eye to this plot. Then it takes a while to get all the details and to figure out what's really going on, but you still have all that action keeping you in. So even though the plot's slow to develop with its major details, you have all the action and the adventure keeping you hooked in. You have lots of action and adventure. I really enjoyed this book. It was fun, and I'm looking forward to the sequel, which comes out in March 2017. And the sequel's name will be Traitor to the Throne. I really like our heroine in this book. Even though she's raised in a society where women are suppressed, she is strong and courageous and everything that she's not supposed to be, and I love those kind of heroines. There's a moderate amount of language and some violence. I would say grades 7 through 12 for this book, or ages 12 through 18.
The Son of Neptune, the graphic novel version by Rick Riordan, art by Antoine Daudet. Percy Jackson, of course, has lost his memory, wakes up in a cave somewhere, and is told to go find this old lady who turns out to be Juno, or Hera. And Hera gets him to go to the Roman version of Camp Half-Blood. And while he's there, like the first day, Ares appears and demands that Percy Jackson and a couple others in the camp go on a quest for him. And they have to go to Alaska, the land beyond the gods, to find the giant who is Gaia's son. So of course Gaia has no intention of letting Percy and his friends make it to Alaska. She is of course the mother of the earth and a very nasty woman. Because he's a Greek half-blood, things come up that are very dangerous. So you can imagine there's a lot of action, a lot of adventure, a lot of suspense, and God's really ticked off at what Hera did. The illustrations are well done, very detailed and colorful, and I think this was quite a well done adaptation of The Son of Neptune, and I'm glad I read it. This is for grades 5. You could go even as high as 12th grade, ages 12 to 15. This is a review book from Disney Hyperion.
So we hope you enjoyed our reviews this week and that you found something that you might be interested in reading. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you want to read or what questions you have for the librarians, because we like to answer questions since we are librarians. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.
Bye.